So today's video is about unhealthy boundaries versus healthy boundaries. A lot of the time, I know we think about having boundaries as having more firm walls around us, but this video today, I want to touch on having boundaries that are too strong in some ways. Now, I'm not saying that you should instantly pull these walls down that you've built up. What I'm trying to say is, and think of this example. If you have a child and you're afraid of water, you're aware, of course, that drowning is not a good thing. So instead of teaching the child how to swim, if they're struggling in the water, you might decide, okay, well, I'll completely take them away so that they're never around water ever again. They never have to worry about feeling out of control in the water, let's say. So that's an example of where removing yourself from a situation has some value sometimes. And again, this is outside of very narcissistic people or very abusive people. Okay, this is just kind of other normal humans that also have issues and struggles and so on and so forth. So what you can do is you can end up removing yourself entirely from interacting with certain people and also losing the good that can come with that person or people as well. So a healthy boundary is one which also makes allowances for other people to be human and flawed, whilst keeping your own self-respect or your own energy intact. So there's like a middle ground. And here's the thing is, in order to have healthy boundaries versus unhealthy boundaries, you need to have mental, emotional, and spiritual awareness. So if you're watching this video and boundaries are something that you struggle with, they can be too strong with some people and then poor with others. And a mixture, you can have such a mixture depending on the person, who triggers your wounds, and what you've done to try and keep yourself safe. So when you start looking at your mental, emotional, and spiritual self, your own skills, your own gifts, your own background, your own belief system, then you start to come up with much more of a strategy and an understanding of when you notice certain reactions and internal feelings, thoughts, then what to do in a healthy way. Because we absolutely do not want to be cutting people out of our lives, okay? Nor do we want to keep unhealthy behaviors or unhealthy actions towards us going, or constant requests when you're tired, etc., etc. So there's quite a lot actually to boundaries, and this is another little myth that I tend to see, is that lots of people have healthy boundaries. I actually see that very few people have healthy boundaries, and goodness knows it's taken me a long time and a very deep dive into boundaries and myself, etc. And then being on the side where I'm helping others develop those skills. And boundaries basically is a skill, and that's really good because it means you can learn it. You can learn a skill, and I have a way of helping you figure out your mental, spiritual, and emotional self, so that you know what the self is that you stand up for. And you can understand better where other people are coming from without trying to fix them, right? So empathy is fine. It's about what you then do with that empathy. So there's no problem having empathy, right? In fact, of course, as humans, we must have that. It's just about, well, what do you do next? So you feel the pain of someone. We often think that sometimes taking action means that we care, whereas we don't want to be one of those people that just sits around talking about how terrible the world is whilst going and buying some cheap fashion that's exploited a whole bunch of people. So yes, we want to take action, and this is why boundaries is and having good boundaries is really quite a nuanced process, and it should be guided, and it should be a process that you document, that you write about, so you can really see the patterns that are emerging with different people or situations. So that's my little video today about the idea of healthy boundaries and what do healthy boundaries mean. very succinctly, that is to keep the, let's say, bad things out, the energy suckers, the overloaders, etc., at a distance, those behaviors from those people at a distance, whilst allowing the good behaviors, perhaps other things that they do add to your life, in. And unhealthy boundaries are, of course, where we overgive, we overplease, we don't say no, or we cut people out and, all the good is gone as well. So it's being able to manage the negative impacts from people, and we all have them, right? I'm sure each and every one of us at a certain time has been a bit of a boundary push, or hoped, that you would get that opportunity, and then you keep poking someone because you really want it. So, we have to understand this ebb and flow, and ourselves also change and adapt. We want different things at different times. We've got, more time for our kids when they're younger, less time when they're older because our interests return or develop. So boundaries also cannot be these rigid, stuck things. So have a think about right now when you're watching the video, what metaphor would you use for boundaries? Do you use things like walls, which I mentioned before, putting up walls around you? Okay, that's a really interesting image. Are you like a cell wall that's more permeable, letting viruses in and so on and so forth? So in fact, actually, having good boundaries is part of like a mental immune system, a healthy mental immune system. So that's my video for you today. Thank you for watching, and if you need help with boundaries and learning about your own mental, emotional and spiritual self, then get in touch with me. My details, of course, they come up on the screen, or they're somewhere. Click on them, get in touch, and you can get started on starting to learn these skills. Thanks very much. I'm Bibi Eastwood, a life coach, a healing strategist, and I love to help people overcome the battles that I have learned how to overcome. Thank you for watching.